people would probably consider it to be ironic that this morning it is raining. But I'd like to suggest to you that it is part of a divine cycle. 34 years ago, right at this space, there was fire. But this morning we have blessings, divine blessings in the form of one of the elements of Father Heaven, water, signifying life, signifying rebirth, signifying transformation. There was a man who had an insight as to who we are really as a people. And this man, he wrote an account, and just to give an insight of that account, he said, there are people now forgotten, discovered while others were yet barbarians, the arts and the sciences, a race of men now dejected from society because of their sable skin and frizzled hair, founded on the study of the natural laws of nature. Religious and spiritual system would still govern.
Tenanwari, greetings, African power for all African people. My name is Tafazwa Shakara Bandaka, also known as the Shakara or Shaka, and we're out here paying tribute to the lives of the sisters and brothers that were lost 34 years ago on this date, this morning, in what is known as the New Cross Massacre. We're here because we believe that they should always be remembered and that we should not forget our history. And by our history, we ain't just talking about thousands of years in the past, but our recent history. And because we understand that much of what we faced then 34 years ago is still being faced by us now. And we're also affirming our humanity, African life and African humanity, and the fact that there has not been justice for the lives of the 14 young people that lost their lives 34 and 33 years ago. And so as a statement of African self-determination and African remembrance and a statement of our humanity, we're here to affirm those lives and the fact that when you recognize a people's humanity, you see fit to do them justice. And so we're here to remember them, but we're also here to say that we believe in justice and we defend the principle of justice for the lives that were lost here on the 18th of January 1981. Tenanwari.
Greetings, my name is Sister Esther, and we are here today on behalf of the Interim National African People's Parliament, who have decided to have a silent candlelight vigil to honour and to remember those 14 young people whose lives were claimed as a result of the 1981 New Cross fire. But also our message today and our theme was about Black Lives Matter, and that we also have to remember the living, because there were up to 54 survivors of the New Cross fire that many of us have forgotten. And many of those survivors, we do not even wonder how have they survived, how are they surviving. Many of them still have psychological scars and physical scars, and their lives have been affected and marred by this fire. So we focused also and we reflected on the theme of reparations, which is to repair damage, to right wrongs. And an aspect of repairing that damage is to ensure that there is rehabilitation of victims, to ensure that they can have some degree of life that is a life of dignity. So today was also about the healing that needs to take place, not only for the survivors and their families and extended families, but also the healing that is required in our community. And ultimately, I guess the main lesson is about our unity and ensuring that we honour those in our communities, ensuring that we don't wait for tragedies before we remember our duty to each other. So that's why we're here today. Thank you.
As for me, I only knew of this incident about 4 years ago. And it highlights the global dynamics of our lives as African people and how we are seen and valued by others who consider us to be others, and how important it is for us now actually to use our own reference to define ourselves, our destiny, and our aspirations as a people. When we look at global issues now, and we see how others can rally to put value on their lives, we need to be doing this full time to regain our place in humanity and the beauty of the African life.
Tendai Mwari, yes, Salamu, giving thanks and praises unto the Most High, the creator of the universe, whom we praise in the name of Mwari Nyakusika, God, the creator of the universe. We give thanks and praises for this moment as we stand here outside 439 New Cross Road in commemoration of the life and the tremendous tragedy, atrocity even, that occurred in this place 34 years ago to the day and the date. In fact, it was around about 5:30 in the morning that a fire soared through this building, a fire that was started by a suspected firebomb attack by a racist arsonist who wanted clearly to do damage. This incident was never properly investigated by the police. In fact, the historical facts demonstrate that there was never any commitment to get to the bottom of what happened here on that fateful day in 1981 on the 18th of January. We know from the account of the surviving victims that they were treated by the police rather than being treated as victims and witnesses who can give vital evidence to get to the truth and to find out what really happened. They were treated rather brutally by the police as perpetrators, as suspects. And as a result of that, the process was of investigation was thwarted. 13 young people died, either on that night or within a matter of days after this tragedy, this atrocity. 2 years later, on the 9th of July, 1983, a 14th victim lost his life. He had been mentally afflicted, very deeply and acutely mentally afflicted by the effects of being in the fire and never recovered. In fact, he thought he was at times reliving the trauma, and he jumped from a high-rise building to his death, making it the 14th fatal victim of the New Cross massacre. Since then, we as a community have sought justice led by the family. In 2011, after many years of relative silence, there was a vision that the New Cross massacre should be commemorated. It was commemorated on the 14th of January at the Albany Theatre around the corner from here, and also on the 18th of January of that year, right outside this building, where a plaque, a blue plaque, was raised and was laid, as we can see the blue plaque outside of the building. And that was laid by our elder, our illustrious elder who was here with us tonight, Mama Sybil Phoenix. It was an honor to be in her company. And so over 300 people gathered outside and occupied this space on that day. And it was from that event that it was decided that the Black People's Day of Action, which was called in the aftermath of the New Cross massacre, should also be commemorated. And so since then, every year, we have been commemorating. That was the 30th anniversary of the New Cross massacre. Since then, we have been commemorating the anniversary every year since then of the New Cross Massacre. Of the National Black People's Day of Action, which also incorporates the commemoration of the New Cross Massacre. And let me just say something very quickly that is very, very significant. The New Cross Massacre is the single worst tragedy that the African community has experienced in this country. And the resultant National Black People's Day of Action is the largest outpouring of grief and also the largest demonstration against state oppression that we have amassed or mounted in this country as an African people. So those two events are very, very significant to the history of African people. Importantly, in commemorating the 30th anniversary, it was decided that we did not want this to be purely an event that was lost in nostalgia, for the sake of nostalgia. That out of the ashes of the New Cross Massacre must come something that was going to be forward-looking, must come something that was going to be inspiring and mobilizing our people to do something that would vindicate the loss of life that occurred here in 1981. What resulted from that was a call for nation building. And it was decided at the 30th anniversary commemoration of the National Black People's Day of Action that we should establish a National African People's Parliament. And since then, work has been and is being done to establish the National African People's Parliament. And it was by virtue of this that this vigil was called today to commemorate the day and the date of the New Cross Massacre in this 34th anniversary on the 18th, Sunday, the 18th of January, 5:30, when the fire occurred. And that's the significance of this gathering this morning. And as brothers and sisters, and I hope it has all been caught on tape, we'll see it was a beautiful ceremony led by the leadership of the Interim National African People's Parliament, who spoke poignantly and significantly about the importance of today and the search, a continued demand and continued pursuit of truth and justice to vindicate the sacrifices of the 14 people who lost their lives, the 27 to 50-odd people who suffered severe injuries on that night, the families and the wider community who continue to suffer from the loss of their loved ones, that we want their suffering, we want their martyrdom to be vindicated by truth and justice. And we must continue that pursuit. We must continue that mobilization in our community and that demand until truth and justice is done. So we give thanks to the Creator, Mwari Nyakusika, God the Creator of the universe, through the spirits of our ancestors, Mudzima Mukuru, our great ancestors, for the ceremony that we witnessed today. But this is one important and significant landmark in the ongoing march for truth and justice, in particular in relation to the New Cross Massacre, but in a wider sense, truth and justice for African people here in the UK and indeed African people around the world. Let me finish by saying that flyers were given out announcing the National Black People's Day of Action for this year, the year 2015. And so we hope and we pray that that will also be a successful event. May Mwari Nyakusika, God the creator of the universe, through Mzima Mukuru, our great ancestors, continue to bless and empower us all as African people as we continue the fight for our total liberation, the glory of Mwari and Mzima Mukuru, and the attainment of a much higher quality of human existence. Rumbidzo kuna Mwari Africa, to the God of Africa be the glory. Tendai Mwari. Bless it.
You want to just fundamental freedom, redemption, black international patriation, I stand for. Home, sweet home is awaiting. So show your true colors.